In today's video, I want to talk about Bethesda's latest game release, and it actually happened a little quietly over on mobile platforms, Android and iOS, a brand new Elder Scrolls title in Elder Scrolls Blades. Now, this was announced all the way back at E3 of last year, and it actually looked to be a pretty compelling game. Even though it was being released for mobile platforms, it looked to be a big budget mobile title, and in one sense, a lot of gamers had a modicum of interest in the game, although it wasn't your traditional big budget Elder Scrolls game like an Elder Scrolls 6, and that's not going to be out for a while. So a lot of people were looking at Blades as something to hold us over and a different kind of an experience. Unfortunately, Elder Scrolls Blades is available to download right now on Android and iOS, and of course it's a free game, so some sort of monetization has to be included in the game. You have to expect some sort of microtransactions because they want to make some money off of the work they put on the Elder Scrolls Blades, and I understand that. However, currently, it is in early access, so it's a work in progress, but the microtransactions that are available right now are absolutely absurd and some of the worst that I've ever seen in a video game, especially a video game coming from one of the more respected publishers. I know Bethesda has been in and out in terms of how they are viewed, but generally speaking, looking at the timeline of Bethesda, it's a lot more positive than negative, and I want to take a look at all of that. Forbes has a great article on that, and the game, even though with these microtransactions, it is doing very well from a commercial standpoint. Let's talk all about the Elder Scrolls Blades, as it's a little worrying of a situation. Bethesda, of course, a little bit worrisome with Fallout 76 and everything that's been going on with that. However, recently I think there has been a little bit more of a positive spin towards Bethesda, especially with them getting back in bed with Steam and releasing all of their games on Steam, whether it be Rage 2, Fallout 76 is coming to Steam as well, but they are doing some good things, and I think people were starting to get to the point where we're ready to move on from Fallout 76. Yes, that game was a debacle. Bethesda's still gonna work on that game, but let's move on to other projects that Bethesda's gonna put out, like a Rage 2, like a Wolfenstein the Youngblood, especially as we head into E3, and they're definitely gonna have some big game announcements as a part of that. Doom 2 as well. But they quietly put out the Elder Scrolls Blades on Android and iOS platforms, and this was announced at E3 of last year, and it's a mobile Elder Scrolls game, so right away your traditional Elder Scrolls fan is not going to be all over this game. However, from a technical standpoint, it's actually a pretty impressive game for a mobile title. Unfortunately, the question with mobile titles always has to be, what are the microtransaction elements, because it is released as a free game. And wow, Forbes' Paul Tassi has a really good breakdown of everything you could expect out of the Elder Scrolls Blades, and it's a very grim look into what the Elder Scrolls could become in the future. Now, of course, I highly doubt that something like an Elder Scrolls 6 would implement features like this, because that's going to be a full $60 release. However, for Blades, it's doing some really crazy things. Now, Bethesda is going to change some of these things because the game is still in early access, but let's take a look at some of it. The biggest feature of the payment wall is featured in the game's chest system, which is so bad Bethesda has already said they're altering it in some way, but we don't know how it's going to be altered, and unless they remove it completely, it's not going to matter because the system's already in place. What happens is you do missions and you'll get a chest of loot, while you find in some dungeons that can be opened right away. Other chests are going to take time for you to actually open. Silver chests are going to take around 3 hours to open. Gold chests, which appear maybe 5% of the time you do a dungeon, take a whopping 6 hours to open. And if you want to skip that timer and get the loot right away, you're asked to pay the equivalent of a few cents or $1 per chest. There's also a limit to how many chests you can have at any given time. And the writer of Forbes said that they have 150 hours of silver chests waiting to be opened just after a few days of play. So you are amassing these silver chests so quickly, but because they take a little while to open, you either have to open them with your real world money, or you have to actually play the game, and they add this layer and barrier for you needing around 3 hours to actually open a chest. So of course, who actually wants to wait that entire 3 hours? It's very suffocating to the overall experience. But the game does present you with a choice. Once you're at the cap, you can no longer keep the chests you find, meaning you either A, have to destroy them permanently, or B, pay Bethesda to open them instantly, or C, pay to increase your storage space, which doubles in price each time you do it. So they actually have two avenues for you to avoid the limit. Either you increase your storage size, that's gonna cost money, or you just open the chest right away, that's gonna cost you money as well. So that is just a bummer, and that is for a silver chest. However, silver chests are not the only thing. You can also buy chests, $5, $10, and $30 increments for chests, and that could also help you get gold, elder, and legendary rarities. In a full week of gameplay, they noted getting to level 22, they have never seen a single elder or legendary chest drop in the game itself. So that's a full week of gameplay, so that's a sizable window to go by buy and not getting one of those chests, that's a bummer. And the Elder and Legendary chests, they go for $10 and $30 respectively, so if you're not getting them by actually playing the game, you have to drop a steep amount of money. $30 for a Legendary chest, that's half the price of a newly released game. That's pretty absurd, and if you're not getting them by naturally playing the game, again, a week of playtime is pretty sizable, and you're not getting those chests, that's a big problem. But they will spam you with silver chests so you can get that, but then your inventory is going to get packed and you won't even be able to open the silver chests, which look to only give you mediocre content. So that's crazy. But it also goes for the loot itself, as the game is constantly giving you special offers on ultra powerful legendary weapons that are 50 times better than anything that the writer had. They specifically noted that they got an offer for a mace where it can be mined for $15. $10 to $15 for iconic Elder Scrolls weapons in a mobile game seems pretty absurd. And again, it's just that if you compare this to a $60 game, like let's say you bought the Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim for $60, buying these chests, buying these special weapons, you're gonna break through that $60 threshold so freaking quickly, it's not even funny. And it looks like people are breaking through that threshold because the game is making an incredible amount of money, and we'll look at that in a little bit. But nonetheless, it doesn't even stop there. Guys, this article is so long, I'll leave it in the description box down below if you want to read everything for yourself, because he did a great breakdown of everything that's in this game, and it's just worrisome to the future of Elder Scrolls. But it extends beyond what I just mentioned. The town part of the game has a zillion different ways you can spend money on it as well. You can pay to skip wait timers on buildings going up, which took an hour or so, but now houses are taking around 12 hours to build, and sometimes story progress is hard limited by your town level, meaning you can't progress through the game unless you drop money or you wait that timer and actually create the houses yourself. But of course, you can definitely pay to speed up your crafting for your armors or weapons or potions or anything like that, because those aren't instant either. One of the strangest revenue paths is the ability to pay to simply auto-complete the procedurally generated job board missions that reward you with XP. Why would you even want to do that? I don't know. You can pay to auto-complete missions so you get the rewards right away. Doesn't that essentially ruin the point of actually playing the game, unless the game is so grindy and it's so difficult to actually progress through the game that you need to do these jobs quickly so you get the rewards and you can be in and out? Just think about all of the different revenue streams that they're creating out of one game. Every single little element of the Elder Scrolls Blades is seemingly monetized, from the chests to the weapons to the buildings and now to the missions themselves. What part of the game isn't monetizable by Bethesda? Elder Scrolls Blades was kind of a quiet release, so it's really going under the radar, but I've never seen an instance of a game, a big budget game mind you, where literally every instance of it is monetizable, as I just mentioned. That's pretty crazy, and it seems to be a step up from your traditional microtransactions, where I've seen it in games like Assassin's Creed Odyssey and other single player games, this one being a free game. Obviously, you have to be mindful of it in that way, so that's why I'm a little bit more hateful on a lot of $60 single player games, including microtransactions. But nonetheless, this is crazy in its own right, because if a game is free, that's not an excuse to monetize the entire freaking game. You should still offer a compelling experience for those that want that free-to-play offering, and you're really seemingly not getting that with Blades based on this Forbes article and based on the game in its current form. However, again, it is in early access, so let's see how it evolves, but right now it's pretty scary, and I don't think it's gonna evolve all too well because a lot of people are downloading the game. Notably, Sensor Tower reports that the game is at #1 in the download charts, with 42% of the downloads coming from the US. That's 420,000 downloads of the million downloads that it's already had in its early access launch period, and this was noted back on April 7th, so the game has obviously had more downloads since then. And US players are also accounted for 76% of spending, totaling around $380,000, and as of April 7th, the game has made around $500,000 in revenue. Now, to some of you guys, you might look at $500,000 and say, hey, that's not all too much, and the game is still in early access and it's only in its first week, so you would imagine that that revenue would only snowball, and it's just residual revenue for Bethesda, so they are making an obscene amount of money. There's a lot of in-app purchases. However, the game is going to receive updates, so hopefully they can iron things out, but man, this is just worrying because it's another step in a notable franchise getting all of these elements, and as we let this slide more and more, we let it slide with games like AC Odyssey being more grindy and having a double XP boost that you can buy for $10. This is another step in that direction, although a little bit different because, again, it is a free offering, but still, it's just super worrisome to me, and I feel like this is something that also puts another bad label on Bethesda. Coming off of Fallout 76, I don't think you want this kind of notion being out there in the gaming community, but nonetheless, I gave you guys my spiel on it. It does seem like it's generating a lot of revenue for Bethesda, so from a business standpoint, I don't really see how they could go any other way, but let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Have you tried out Elder Scrolls Blades? What do you think about all of these microtransactions being introduced? Remember, I will leave that entire Forbes article in the description box below if you want to check it out yourself, because he goes super in depth on it, but hopefully we do see some updates, and hopefully we don't see this just trickle into Bethesda's other offerings, because that would be unfortunate, but Fallout 76 does have some questionable microtransactions now too. So we'll see how this shapes up in the coming months. But that's gonna conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.